So this is my daughter's ix35, and being a dutiful father and trying to save her a bit of money, we're going to have a go at giving it a full service. So the first thing I want to know is whether the brake pads are worn down, whether I've got to replace them. So we're going to pop off the wheels, have a quick look at the pads, and then we're going to go off to the shop and get all the service kit. So we're going to start with popping off the front wheels, so handbrake on, and 2 bricks either side of the back wheel just to stop the car rolling while it's up on the jack. First thing to do is to release the nuts by about half a turn. Put the long bar on, put your foot on the end of it, or grab the end of it and push down. So I always jack up under the seal here, and you can see there's a bit of a indent here. That might be a jacking point, I don't know, but certainly the seal seam here is the strongest part of the car, and I always end up jacking up onto that. Less likely to slip as well. Now you just spin off the nuts and we can take the wheel off. While we're here, it's good to have a quick look at the tyres as well. You can see there's a lot of meat on this one, but if you look carefully just here, there's a little raised lump. That's the minimum tread level. So if you ever see your tyre work down to these little lumps that's within the groove, then it's time to replace them. Normally they ask for at least 3/4 of the tyre width has to have tread above that lump. This is the pad just in here, and you can see there's probably about 1/4 inch left on that pad, which is loads, so it doesn't really need to be replaced. And you should look on the opposite side as well, look for the second pad, and that's much the same as well. Okay, this is the rear pads, and we've got a 1/4 inch on the back as well, so that's looking pretty good. So to access the sump and drain the oil, we're going to have to remove this plastic cover here. We've got bolts, we've got little plugs here that need that we'll just pull out. Whole mess of them all the way around. Just work your way around and get the plastic off. Always a good idea to get your assistant to do the dodgy jobs. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. Now we've got the plastic cover off underneath. We've now found the oil filter, which is this one here, and the sump drain plug is this bolt here. So we're just going to pop them off. So we've loosened off the bolt here. I've got a drain tray underneath, and I'm just going to slowly undo that, and here comes the oil, like that. Okay, so that's all the oil out, so I'm now just going to put the sump plug back in, like that, and carefully just tighten it up. So the next step is to do the oil filter. This is the oil filter here, and I'm going to use this device, which has got a chain on it, which basically wraps around the oil filter like that. Change my setting. It wraps around the oil filter like this, and there we go. And as I tighten the ratchet, it tightens onto the socket, and then with a bit of heave-ho, you have to move this around. Let's try that one more time. There we are. Just better leverage this time. Okay. Here we go. There we go. And you can see that the oil filter just started to move there. And I've actually punctured it a little bit. So I'm just going to move the drip tray over. That doesn't matter because we're obviously replacing it. And there we go. It's really good piece of equipment, this, just to make life easy to removing the oil filter. Now that oil filter is completely loose now, so I can finish off by just using my hand. Again, keeping the drip tray underneath because this is about to drop a bit of oil. There we go. Just making sure it collects in the drip tray. Just leave it for a second. There we go. And off comes the oil filter. And again, I usually just put that on top of the container so we don't get oil everywhere. Another good technique I think is actually putting cardboard under the car as well. So little wipe off, cleaning up. How you doing there? Little wipe off like that, and a wipe off underneath the sump as well, so we got no oil. And that's now ready to take the new oil filter. So it's always a good idea just to put a little oil around the rubber there, just so that it slips and tightens on nicely onto the engine. And then we're going to offer it up. And normally I just use my hands to tighten these things up. They don't need to be aggressively tightened, and they will seal. There they are, that's pretty. There we are. One oil filter fitted. So it's probably easier to put the plastic plugs in first and then the bolts second.
There we go.
So next on the agenda is the air filter, and we have clips just here and here and back over there, and another one there. That's 4 clips. Off comes the cover, and there's the air filter. Probably worth getting rid of any leaves and things you might find in there to start with. So this is our beautifully clean air filter, which we're going to pop in now. Load it in, pop the cover down and put the clips on. Okay, so before we forget, we're going to fill up with oil, and regularly as you're filling up, check the level on your dipstick, because you don't want to overfill your engine. Using a funnel here so we don't get oil all over the engine as well. So the next step is to take the spark plugs out, and they're 1, 2, 3, 4 there. They're held in by looks like a 10mm bolt. So we undo those to start with. Okay, let's see if we can shift these. Easy. So after checking the gap on the spark plugs, we replace them with brand new ones, of course. And finally we fit the plastic cover on top of the engine. Straightforward push foot down. Right, next step is the pollen filter. So the pollen filter is hidden in behind the glove box here. You have to undo these screw bung things, and out comes the glove box. Okay, so the pollen filter is hidden behind this panel, and it easily comes out by doing this. Unclipping, out it pops, and you can see the pollen filter there. So this is the difference between the 2 pollen filters. One on the left is clearly the old one, and the one on the right is the brand new one. Pollen filters have a direction. If you look on the edge of the filter, you'll see there's a little arrow there, that shows that it should be, this is the direction of flow of the air that's going to come in. Now the air comes in through the top and exits through the bottom, so it has to go in this way round. Probably goes, that's it, in. Right, pop the glove box back up. Got the two little luggy nuts that hold it in place. There you are. How hard can that be? So that's the Hyundai service. Pretty easy actually. It's not too bad at all, and it only cost £56 worth of parts, and that was in 2019.